She thought it was just another ordinary morning, pouring coffee from her little food truck, until a stranger leaned close, took the cup from her hands, and whispered words that froze her in place. What could he possibly mean? And why did those words bring back a memory she thought was gone forever? The city was barely awake, sunlight stretching slowly over narrow streets. The smell of fresh coffee drifted through the park, carried from a modest food truck with a fading sign that read, "Morning Brew." Behind the counter stood Claire, her pink blouse neatly tucked into black jeans, curls pinned back and eyes tired but determined. Life had been unkind, but she never let it take away her strength, or her faint but resilient smile. Every cup she served was more than coffee. It was a piece of her survival story, though no one ever knew it. She never looked twice at her customers, too busy fighting to stay afloat. But that morning a man joined the line. He seemed like anyone else, tall, sharp, confident. When his turn came, his hand brushed against hers as he took the cup. Then came the whisper, "I waited years for this." Her heart skipped. His eyes looked familiar yet impossibly distant, like a ghost from a life she had buried. Before we dive deeper into Claire's story, take a second right now. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and destiny, please like this video, share it with someone you love, and subscribe to HQ Infinite Stories. Your support helps us keep telling heart-touching stories that truly matter. Claire wasn't always the food truck girl. She grew up in a small town with a mother who worked endless shifts just to keep the lights on. They had little, but her mom taught her one lesson: never stop giving. At 17, Claire once handed her only umbrella to a boy stranded in the rain at a bus stop. He had smiled shyly, promising to return it. But he never came back. Life moved forward harshly. Her mother passed away when Claire was 19, leaving her with debts and no choice but to give up her studies. She rented the smallest food truck she could find, pouring coffee day after day just trying to survive. Customers blurred together. People came and went. And Claire stopped looking at anyone twice, because wondering about people only led to disappointment. But the man's whisper broke through that wall. He came again the next morning. And the morning after, always waiting patiently at the end of the line, though everything about him suggested he wasn't used to waiting for anything. Each time he thanked her warmly, as if the coffee meant far more to him than it should. Finally, one afternoon she saw him sitting on a bench, sipping slowly while watching kids play nearby. And in that still moment, her memory stirred. Could he really be that boy from the bus stop? The one she had given her umbrella to? She dismissed the thought. Life isn't that poetic, she told herself, but fate proved her wrong. That evening, as she closed up, he walked over. "My name is Michael," he said softly. Years ago, he had been the boy drenched in the rain, the one she had helped without expecting anything in return. That umbrella wasn't just shelter. To him, it was hope at a time he felt invisible. He never forgot her. Through struggles, success, and finally becoming a wealthy entrepreneur, he carried her kindness in his heart. That's why he whispered those words, "I waited years for this." Claire's heart pounded. Why would a man like him search for someone like her? She was just surviving behind a food truck window. But Michael wasn't there out of pity. He was there because he saw in her what she had forgotten: kindness, resilience, and light. From then on, their mornings intertwined. He showed up not as a millionaire, but as a man searching for something real. He listened. He laughed with her. He reminded her she mattered. For the first time in years, Claire felt seen, not for her service, but for her soul. Still, she feared. The gap between their worlds was wide. Maybe she was just a romantic memory to him. But Michael proved otherwise. Quietly, he paid her truck rent in advance. When she resisted, he told her it wasn't charity. It was gratitude. "You gave me hope when I had nothing. Let me give you room to breathe." Soon, people noticed the unusual pair, the food truck girl and the man in polished shoes who always waited in line, who tipped generously and who looked at her as if no one else existed. Some whispered. Some judged. But Claire's life was changing. Then came a stormy night. Overwhelmed by debts and loneliness, Claire broke down, crying in Hurtney rented room. She doubted if she deserved the light entering her life. The next morning, Michael stood outside her truck holding an umbrella, the same kind she once gave him. "I'm not here to save you," he said gently. I'm here to remind you that you once saved me." In that moment, Claire understood kindness never disappears. It circles back, sometimes years later, like destiny knocking softly. Weeks turned into months. Claire dared to dream again. She sketched plans for a real cafe, something her mother had once wished for her. Michael encouraged her, not by buying it outright, but by reminding her she already had the strength and vision to make it happen. By spring, her food truck had transformed. The fading sign was replaced with her mother's favorite flowers painted along the border. Business thrived, not just because of coffee, but because people felt the warmth of Claire's spirit shining again. Michael never overshadowed her. He simply walked beside her, proof that sometimes fate waits years just to bring two souls back together. And every time he whispered, "I waited years for this," Claire no longer heard it as a mystery. She heard it as a promise. If Claire's journey touched your heart, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to HQ Infinite Stories. Every little act of support helps us continue bringing emotional, life-changing stories your way. And before you go, comment below, "Kindness lives forever," because this story reminds us, one act of compassion can change a life even if it takes years to come back around.